Hello, welcome to another Ready Aim Roll video. Today I wanted to take a break from Warhammer for a bit because I'm hyper aware that that's a lot of our content the last week or so for obvious reasons, and I love Warhammer, but that isn't what I want this channel to be about. So I wanted to take a pause. Warhammer stuff will continue, obviously, but for every few Warhammer vids we put out, can't believe I just said vids out loud, hate that. Every few Warhammer videos we put out, I want to break it up with something that isn't Warhammer. Because, yeah, Warhammer's great and all, but indie stuff is cool. So, I was having a look through my collection of stuff that I haven't put on the channel yet, and I came across this. So this is Insurgent Earth by Patrick Todoroff, who wrote one of my favourite Osprey Blue Book games in Zona Alpha. Yeah, so if you're familiar with his work, then cool. If not, I highly recommend you check it out because it's great. It's really fun. So this is available either as a PDF through places like Drive-Thru, RPG, and the War Games Vault, and as a print-on-demand book through Amazon, which is where I got this. I don't know if print-on-demand is available on those other places too, it might be, but I only know that I got mine through Amazon, which is why we have this back page, printed in Great Britain by Amazon. So yeah, it's not a huge book by any means. It's I think bigger than Zona Alpha was, because those blue books are quite small. Okay, 87 pages, 88. What's on the side? 89 pages, but a lot of these back pages are your references and photocopyable gubbins if you want to print out cards. So yeah, what is Insurgent Earth? Insurgent Earth is as it says, solo and cooperative tabletop miniatures game. It is very much super skirmishy. Can be played on a 2 to 3 foot board, which is great because the table that I film these videos on is about 2 and a bit feet wide, and obviously it's a good 6, maybe 5 or 6 feet long, but in terms of width, it wouldn't fit a 4x4 on there unless we put 2 tables together, which we can do, but it's just easier to use the one. So a game that can fit on, small tables, I'm always looking for, because, they often mean you're not having to faff around with too many miniatures and too much terrain. So, yeah, Insurgent Earth is, as you might be able to tell from the cover, is inspired very heavily by War of the Worlds. It even opens with a passage from War of the Worlds, the opening line, which I think is one of my favourite opening lines in any novel. Though actually I don't think that's the opening line, that's the closing to the opening paragraph. Anyway, yeah, it's, in terms of presentation, it is quite different to the likes of Zona Alpha, mostly because this is an indie thing. This is entirely self-published by Patrick Todoroff himself, though obviously Zona Alpha is still available through Osprey, but the sort of solo expansion type thing called Contraband is self-published. But I think the book says you'll need a copy of Zona Alpha to play it anyway. But yeah, because of that, it doesn't have the same sort of production design as you'd expect from a Blue Book or any of Osprey's other publishings. It's very standard paper, lots of sort of basic art. Like there's some really cool stuff in here in terms of art, but it's not going to be, this isn't a full color book, which if that bothers you, then this might not be the thing for you. But for me, I think art is only so much of a book. And if you ask me, I think some rule books overdo it with the art a little bit. Mainly talking about Warhammer here. I just think that book, as well as it could have been, 2 or 3 books separately, it could have done without a good third of the images in there, especially the product shots, I guess you'd call them. I just think they were a bit overdone, especially in the Combat Patrol introduction that wasn't in the Combat Patrol section. It just, it was a bit much for me. Not a fan. Though I will be going over that when I do the flip through of the core rulebook once I'm done with the minis. So yeah, Insurgent Earth plays in a way that I'm not used to. Instead of, having a single dice system like Frostgrave using and Stargrave using D6s and D20s, mostly D20s, actually, and stuff like Warhammer just using standard D6s. This game has varying dice, where each turn you have a pool of dice. A D4, a D8, no, D4, D6, D8, and D12, if I remember correctly. And each time you try and do something with one of your minis, you choose one of those dice, and I think the pass result is a D4, not a D4. The pass result is a 4, so with a D4, you'd obviously have to roll a 4. You'd have to roll the max result, but each subsequent dice after that, your odds of success climb. But then if you use that D12 or D8 for something else, and something comes up that you really need to succeed on, you then don't have that dice. So it's about choosing which dice you want to use in that moment, knowing that something more dire could come up later in the turn. But yeah, it's a really interesting system, and also adds a little bit of the tension of this sort of survival element, because it's all set in modern day, though it is sort of system agnostic too. You could easily, like, all the art is for a modern day scenario, but you could just as easy make this about the Home Guard in World War II. The older gents, and have stayed back from the war in Europe, have taken up arms to try and defend and protect the civilians who were left back home, and then suddenly aliens. So you could easily use your home guard minis that you might have for things like bolt action. You could easily use your I think that they did a box set for Dad's Army, so you could easily use those minis for a game like this set in 1940s London, and obviously anywhere in between, which I think is really, really cool. It really opens up the possibilities for really interesting stories, which is what I like to see in a game. I'm not a tournament player at all. I don't care for tournaments. So when a game comes to me and goes, we are narrative focused, all about creating characters and creating these really fun stories, I'm on board. That's why I love the Crusade system in Warhammer. That's why, as I mentioned in the Dreadnought video, I don't pick minis because their stat line's good. I don't pick minis because they're meta. I pick minis because I look at them and go, shiny, that's cool, gimme. So yeah, this book is really good if you yourself like that sort of thing. I will say that it jumps around a little bit. It'll take, at least it took me a couple read-throughs before I grasped, okay, this is how things are done. This is how you create a character. This is what you do for roles. And because there aren't any diagrams or demonstrations of how minis should move, or how how cover works. It's all written down. The only images in this book are just bits of art, which again, I love them. They're cool. But occasionally you do get pages like this where it's just sort of like, okay, it is, to its credit, really, really clear. There's no weird color matching like in books like Morkborg or Cyborg, where there's pink on yellow or something like that. It's all clear as daylight, black on white with quite a decent sized font, which is great for my blind ass. But yeah, it is a great little book that I think only cost me 15-20 quid. I don't know if it'll be, it's not here, but it's a good book. If you're looking for something a little bit different to play, that's not published by Games Workshop or even Mantic, they're more indie, or in Corvus Berry. Like, those companies are cool, but seeing stuff that is published entirely off this one guy's back is really, really cool. And there's also, he's also got a website and a Facebook group and things like that, where there's always, art being, miniature painting being posted. There's always missions going up. And the Facebook group is great just to see what people are painting. So yeah, if you're a big fan of the War of the Worlds sort of scenario, and you like games where you don't even need 10, you can play this game with 2 to 4 minis on a 2x2 board, which is great. And then have a handful of different hostile aliens. I'm probably going to use NIDS next time I play this, just because that's what I've got, basically right in front of me at the moment. So yeah, I do need to get this back on the table. I might take some photos and put them on the blog, because I've parked the website. I just haven't started the blog, so it'll be something to get started, like a battle report type thing. So yeah, if that sounds good to you, I'll pop link some things in the description should I ever get around to it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, a bit of a break from Warhammer. I'm going to be trying to do this every few videos. So, yeah. If this sounds fun to you, stick around because we're going to be doing more. And obviously, take care of yourselves and have a very nice day.